Hey people of the VC, it's Andy, and the outlook today is cloudy with a chance of a contest entry. A contest entry for Andy's Vinyl Den, his 777 subs competition. Just in a 666 subs competition, and probably going to do Jeff Kempin's Crazy Eights next. So all the numbers this week. If anyone's got a competition around nines, come in and get it out now because I think I'm on a roll. So Andy's Vinyl Den. Everybody knows Andy. One of those weird hybrid guys that like country and metal. Shows a little bit of everything. Very talented artist as well. He's the brains behind the Tales from the Dead Wax comic, which a lot of you have probably seen shown. Still waiting on the UK package to arrive. Hopefully we'll get here soon. I think all the post is a bit delayed following all the snow chaos that we've had. But Andy, yes, your competition. You wanted us to make a mixtape or put together a mixtape of a specific genre or style of music. As you can tell from the title, I've gone for women in hard rock and metal. It's appropriate for today because today is International Women's Day, so it seemed a good idea to do it today. And making mixtapes is who didn't like making mixtapes? If you're of a similar age to me, 23, you would have made mixtapes when you were younger, as a way just to mix up your music collection, listen to it on your Walkman on the move. And to me, there was always a science with it, and I was fascinated by it. I had to make sure that you had the right tracks. The tracks were in the right order. You couldn't just throw a number of random tracks at it, because if the flow wasn't there, it wouldn't sound like an album, and it just wouldn't be an enjoyable listening experience. I've not made a mixtape since I was a teenager, basically. And I thought this would be a fantastic opportunity. So February 2017, for my birthday, I bought a second-hand Yamaha tape deck with the full intention of starting to make mixtapes. I even bought a big-ass stack of cassettes, which, as you could tell, it's still sealed. I never got around to it. One thing I forgot about making mixtapes is it takes a bloody long time, and I just don't get that sort of time to sit down and work it all out. But Andy, you gave me a great excuse to do that, and so as I say, yeah, I picked women in hard rock and metal, and the reason I picked this is because when I was younger and I was first getting into music, I kind of discounted women in rock and metal. If you'd have asked me whether I'd have been truthful or not, I look back now and think that I just thought that women couldn't cut it in rock and metal, and it was a male. All the bands I liked were men. The music was it was manly, it was for men, it was, and that was it. And there were a few bands that didn't really help, like I mean, your Lita Fords and your Lee Aarons and your Vixens were all kind of more sort of glammy pop metal. So what I wanted to do was put together a mixtape that, if I went back in time, Back to the Future style, and put on the Marty McFly's the radiation suit, and put the mixtape in a Walkman and stuck it on my ears at night, I would play that at full volume and tell myself that I needed to stop being an idiot and realize what a great wealth of talent there is out there in rock and metal from the ladies. So this is the mixtape I would play myself, and I think I would change my opinions having heard this tape. Now, these aren't all from the 80s. This is a mixture of hard rock, metal, and thrash as well. Probably about half the artists are all female bands. The others are female fronted, and I think they all kick ass, really. So let's dive in. So as an opener for a mixtape, you've got to have something that grabs your attention and gets you interested. And I have gone for, to start with, Tequila Mockingbird, with their opening song on this album, I Smell Rock and Roll. And this is a killer track. This is, I've lost what I was going to show. That's a good start. Anyway, there's a line in here that's I smell like youth, I smell like booze, I smell rock and roll, and it's really upbeat and great. So this is their debut album. This weird sort of smudge here is the drummer Josie O'Toole, who's the only surviving member from this album. Actually, they were a three-piece, but the drummer and the bass player and singer left after this, and they've got a brand new lineup, which is also really good. I've seen these about 4 or 5 times live now, at least once, maybe twice with the new lineup. Recording their second album, and they'll be back in the UK. They're an Aussie group. They'll be back in the UK, I think, in April, May time, back up at Bannerman's in Edinburgh, and I will definitely be going to see them again. You should check out Tequila Mockingbird. Absolutely fantastic hard rock, and a great way to open up a mixtape. So I Smell Rock and Roll will be first. In fact, all these picks I've got, I am actually going to make that mixtape, Andy. I'm going to send you a copy of it. Obviously, it'll take a while to get to you. But I've also put together all these tracks on a YouTube playlist with a link below, so you can play along at home and let me know if you think I've got the order and the mix of tracks right. It'd be great to hear from you on that. So, having got you in the mood with I Smell Rock and Roll, we're going to go from hard rock to metal and throw in a bit of Hellion with Anne Boleyn on vocals, just in case you can't tell which is the girl. Sometimes difficult actually with metal in the 80s. The song I've gone for is Backstabber, and that kind of keeps up the momentum. The vocals are a bit more raw with Anne Boleyn, and that kind of I was going to go from Hellion track 2 to a thrash song in part 3 again with some harsher vocals, but it didn't quite work when I put it together in this playlist. So sorry about that, my camera froze. Yeah, I was saying the order didn't quite work, so I shifted it around, which is actually one great thing about using making a mixtape in this playlist generation. You can fiddle with the order without having to go back and overdub songs and restart. So track 3 is by a band called Satan's Hallow. Modern metal band. This was 2016, I think, or maybe 2017. Can't remember, doesn't matter. Satan's Hallow are a female-fronted metal band. This is Mandy Martillo on vocals, and she has an amazing voice. If you've not heard them before, Andy, you will love that track, I guarantee it. And they kind of pick up the pace a little bit further. I didn't tell you the song. The song is called Beyond the Bells. It's the closing track of the album. And I'm going to go from there into some thrash metal and really kind of pick it up, and gone with Snow White. From their album Act of God, they have Nicole Lee on vocals, and the track I've gone for is Disease Bigotry, which is I love that track. It chugs along. It's a great thrash metal track, and her voice really kind of soars above the I guess the noise of the thrash metal behind it, but really complements it well. And yeah, I really enjoy that track. It's a good one. So after a little bit of thrash, we're gonna slow it down, but only slow it down to a heavy metal pace. And we're gonna throw in a little bit of Rock Goddess from Hell Hath No Fury. Again, all female members of the band, 2 sisters, Jodie and Julie Turner, and Dee O'Malley on bass. And the song I've gone for here is the last track, which is God Be With You. And again, that's a great song. It kind of you're not in the thrash metal anymore. Obviously, it's slower, but I've kept the heaviness in there to try and keep the momentum going. After that, the next track is probably one of the more famous all-girl bands from the 80s, if not one of the original certainly of the new wave of British heavy metal era. And that's Girl School from their debut album Demolition. The song I've gone for is "Take It All Away," and that really kind of this is almost like a bit of an intermission in the mixtape. This allows you to sort of take a breath again and listen to a song that's, albeit a great song, it's not as heavy and as fast as a lot of the other ones I've picked. So this is your little intermission with a little bit of Girls' School. So that's "Take It All Away," and there they are. Okay, after Girls' School, the next one is a band that I've only just got into. This was some VCLT from Vinelizer a couple of weeks ago. Bad Attitude by Jezebel, another English metal band, again all girls. Now this is whereas Girls' School was right slap bang at the start of the 80s, these were right slap bang at the start of the 90s, and this is this sounds great. It's easy to make a comparison with bands like Girls' School, but there's a little bit of everything in here. There's a bit of the Cult, there's a bit of Guns N' Roses, but there's very much a good heavy metal sound, a lot richer sound than something like Girls' School. The song I've gone for is the last one on the album, called Burn. So that's a great record and good band. After that, probably one artist that you all would have heard of or should have heard of if you're into the rock and metal genre, and we couldn't have we couldn't talk about women in hard rock and metal without talking about Doro Pesch. And rather than going something for her solo career, this is my favourite album by Warlock and Triumph and Agony. And again, there's quite a few songs I could have picked off here, but the one I went for is I Rule the Ruins. Just love the melody with that, and her vocals sound absolutely superb. Now, obviously this is track 8, so we're kind of coming to the end, so we want to kind of build it up and again get the blood pumping. We're going back to hard rock this time, and we're going to put some Thundermother in from the album Road Fever. This is what they looked like when they released this. Well, this is what this pressing is 2015, but I think this might have come out a little bit earlier. It was originally private press, I think, and this is when they were picked up by Despots Records. They had 2 albums. Like Tequila, Mockingbird, they've had a complete lineup change after these 2 albums. I think there's only one of them left, and the other 4 have all changed up. And again, they've got an album coming out this year, so it'll be interesting to hear whether they've changed their sound at all with the brand new lineup. But the song I've gone for on here is Deal with the Devil, and that's a good romping hard rock song, getting you built up to the end. And it's a good enough hard rock song that I can go straight to the final track, which is a thrash track from a band called Sacrilege, and they have Linda Tam Simpson on vocals, and the track I've gone for is on side 2, which is the Fear Within, and that's a really sort of heavy thrash song. So I'm not kind of ending you on an upbeat, but it's kind of long enough that you get into it. It's a really enjoyable song, and I think it ends off this 10-track mixtape really well. Now 10 tracks, I think the total length of that comes to around 40 minutes. So when I do put a mixtape together, I'm going to throw on some additional bonus tracks from some of the bands that didn't make the cut, just to fill it up, because that was another thing with the mixtapes. If it was a C90 or a C60, then you would get 60 or 90 minutes, as close to as possible on that track, to make sure you didn't waste a single centimetre of tape. So Andy, that's my entry, Women in Hard Rock and Metal, on this International Women's Day. I hope I've met all your criteria, and you enjoy that one. I hope you enjoy the mixtape as and when I will get around to doing it, because I've told the world that I'm going to do it now. But please check out the playlist and leave me any comments about any of the bands that I've picked, and I will catch you again very soon. Thanks for watching.